Hello everybody and welcome to this video looking at the Havilland DH.94 Moth Minor in 1/72 scale by Special Hobby. I do like it when major manufacturers make something a little bit more unusual, and I think the monoplane moth qualifies as unusual, meaning that we can get models of interesting or unusual subjects without having to wrestle with short-run technology. I've already released an unboxing video for this, so check that out if you want to see what you get when this arrives. This video, however, will focus on the building, painting and finishing of the model that you see revolving before you now. So, without any further delay, let's have a look and see what happened when I built this kit. This is a brand new for 2025 tooling, and it comprises of 35 parts, although be aware that that is me just counting them. There are 4 decal schemes, again see the unboxing video for what they are, and there's a recommended retail price of about £12.60. With Special Hobby it's a little bit trickier to narrow down an exact price, it will vary depending on where you buy it, but I feel that £12.60 is about what you would expect to see. Straight away we begin with something unusual on the instructions. It shows the floor piece has these little tabs in it, and that's how it supposedly fits in with the bulkheads at the front and back. There are no such tabs. It is simply not shaped like that. I have measured the floor piece, and you can see that the bulkheads clearly go on the ends of that, not on top of the flat piece, but on the ends of the flat piece. So just be aware that sometimes the instructions are not 100% accurate. The cockpit detail is fairly sparse, although with these aircraft they were fairly sparse anyway. But we have these little mounting pieces for the seats to go on top of them. There are no rudder pedals or anything, but there are 2 control sticks that have been provided. However, as you can see, the instructions clearly show that there is a hole each for both front and rear, and the actual piece itself only has a hole on one of them. So a hole had to be drilled out. So straight away, 2 annoying errors. Neither of them particularly detracting from the end result, but worth noting either way. I can now test fit the cockpit before we go to painting. This is the usual Hataka interior grey-green that I use for anything RAF. Now, these aircraft, these Moth Minors, were originally built in the UK. The tooling was then sent, as in the tooling for the real aircraft, was then sent to Australia. So a lot of the aircraft were actually built in-house in Australia during the Second World War, so that de Havilland could make room for more pressing matters. I don't know if this particular example would have therefore been painted in standard RAF grey-green, or whether it would have had a local derivative, but this I think will do. Further interior details were picked out in the colours that you see before me, which gives this rather nice but simple little cockpit. Again, it's a simple aircraft, so I wouldn't expect too much anyway. We have decals for both instrument panels, they are different, and we have seatbelts as well, but they are the same. They can then just be plonked on like this, and they look okay. I'm not the biggest fan of decal seatbelts, but they're better than fiddling with etched brass stuff, so I guess small victories. Had there actually been tabs as per the instructions, I think it would have been a lot easier to fit these the bulkheads without having to try fit, but because I've glued them on top of the floor piece, at every step I was adding in the fuselage, or adding the fuselage halves together to make sure that it was going to line up. We have a shot here of the inside showing that I have added a grey wash, my standard grey that I use from Citadel Paints. I've glued the instrument panels in their respective slots, and the fuselage halves can then go together. The locating pins on this kit are quite minimal, and that is highlighted, I think, mostly by the wings, which have just 2 incredibly faint points. They got the holes on the top piece and the locating pins themselves on the bottom piece, and they are very, very fine, so it's actually quite easy to not get them in line. But then you have pieces like this bottom fuselage flat bit, which is absolutely beautifully designed. It's got the perfect angle of plastic just to squeeze in without any resistance whatsoever, and the same thing underneath the engine cowling as well. So there's a mix of absolute brilliance in the engineering, and then other bits which just don't make much sense, including this gap that you can see in front of the leading edge of the wings underneath the aircraft, so behind the engine but in front of the wings. For some reason there's a gap, and it shouldn't be there. Clearly it's just about 1 millimetre too short. But then the brilliant engineering comes back with the tail, which looks a bit flimsy. It often does on aircraft of this era, but it fits in absolutely beautifully. And the slot left for the vertical stabilizer is equally as perfect. So you've got this mix of that's a bit weird and, oh, that's a bit excellent. I have lined the tail surfaces up by eye. However, in standard Moth fashion, there are support bracing struts to hold up these wings, so actually you can just glue those in and they should be more or less able to straighten it up. The gap has now been filled with a strip of plastic card and some filler before I can put the undercarriage legs across the other side of the desk by pinging them out the tweezers. No, once I've recollected the undercarriage legs, they can be glued on. As you can tell, that was a bit fiddly. Construction is basically done, so we can do some painting. The usual Model Air yellow that I use for pretty much everything is now applied. I've primed the aircraft in grey, and then I've gone over it in white. I didn't show it as it's not that interesting to see, but Tamiya Fine Grey primer was used, and then some Vallejo white was used over the top of that. It gives it a bit of a patchier feel than if I were to go straight for a white primer and add loads of coats of that, and it just adds this little bit more texture when you put the incredibly thin yellow over the top. The bottom surfaces are masked, and this RAF Dark Earth can then be applied over all of the top surfaces. The scheme that I've gone for has this divide part way down the fuselage, which is the hardest one to mask, but I think it's the most interesting one visually to look at. So I do think if you can get the line nice and neat, then this does pay off. The easiest option would have either been to just paint it all silver on the civilian scheme, or to even do the overall yellow one and then have the kangaroo on the side, which was very, very tempting. And it was very tempting to put a kangaroo on this scheme, even though it shouldn't be there, just because it's fun to have a kangaroo on the side of a plane. But alas, I followed the instructions and did it properly to end up with a plane in very familiar colours. I do like this RAF training scheme. Blue tack has now been used to mask off the dark green, so I'm using the Model Air British Standard Dark Green to RAF Dark Green, completing the trio of paint required for this training scheme. Thankfully, being a monoplane, I don't have to worry about the shadow effect on the bottom wings, where they're painted a tiny bit lighter. And then the shadows of the top wing will make the colours darker on the light wing, if that makes sense. Just see my last moth-related video, which was the Mr. Craft Tiger Moth, for me actually using that scheme. It is always annoying because it's an extra step that I didn't necessarily want to have to do, but hey, it's what is required, but thankfully not for the monoplane Moth Minor. You notice that I've left the port aileron as white. That has subsequently had some silver paint just sprayed over it. I masked it and painted it off camera, and the entire aircraft can now be glossed in Vallejo gloss varnish prior to application of decals. There have been people mention that you don't need to gloss before putting the decals on. Correct, you don't, but I always do because it makes life a lot easier. Just think about it logically. Gloss is a smooth surface. If you need to move decals around, what's going to be easier? On doing it on a smooth surface. So I always do, and very rarely have any issues with it. Now, the decal sheet is a little bit all over the place. Some brands will lump schemes A together, so all the decals needed for scheme A, all the decals needed for scheme B, etc, etc. Special Hobby are not one of those. They're all just chucked on the sheet willy-nilly. The actual quality of them is fine. They certainly move around absolutely fine. They didn't tear. They seem to be thin enough to look good, but thick enough to withstand being positioned. Personally, I like to use a little stick like this, and I always work from one end of the aircraft to the other. So I usually start at the tail and work my way forwards, and then wait for them to dry a bit, and then use do the top surfaces and things like that. There is a walkway on the port wing top, and this discoloured slightly, and I don't particularly know why. So it's actually got a hint of sort of grey whitishness to it when it looks black on the sheet. That's the only issue that I found with any of the decals. The registration was absolutely fine. The colour intensity, other than that black, was absolutely fine. And I really like the way that they've angled this little cut roundel as well, because clearly they've replaced the aileron after they've already painted the aircraft. So it's a camouflage aircraft. They've replaced one of the ailerons with something which is painted in silver. That's right, painted in silver. It's not bare metal. Don't make it too shiny. It's paint. And I really like how that lines up really nicely. So yes, excellent job. Very enjoyable. All the decals can then be held in place with some matte varnish, which again is just Vallejo. I didn't bother showing it because it's just clear over clear. And final things like those counterweights you saw me putting on the underside, and then these incredibly fiddly, not at all stressful windscreens could be glued in. I wanted to scream many times at the fiddly nature of these, and you may notice at the end result that I haven't, strictly speaking, painted them. I just ran a little bit of silver paint from a paint pen along the basic frame, but it was incredibly stressful. They're very small, they're very fiddly, but an essential part of it. This aluminium paint is what I used for the aileron, and it is now being used for the counterweight on the correct side and the undercarriage, legs and the wheels. A quick shout out to the exhaust part C14, which is incredibly fine and has been gobbled up, taken hostage by the carpet monster, because the moment I even looked at it, it was gone, probably forever. But with that part now well and truly gone, this is the end result. So, what do you think? The Special Hobby DH.94 Moth Minor in 1/72 scale, reproduced here in a rather lovely Royal Australian Air Force scheme of standard RAF camo and yellow. I know I'm going to sound a bit biased because, let's face it, it's a moth. I'm a moth man. I love members of the de Havilland Moth family, and this is a very important closure to that entire series of aircraft. So it was obvious that a major manufacturer making a model of this in my preferred scale, I was going to buy it and I was going to like it, and I love the end result. It looks fantastic, but I know I'm biased. However, I genuinely think that this is an excellent kit. With the exception of me actually having to do some proper modelling and do some filling of that hole behind the engine on the bottom, which is underneath anyway, so you're not going to see it massively. With the exception of that, there is nothing that I can fault this kit for. It is absolutely beautiful. I could have done a bit of a better job of it. I'm aware of that. There are a few little bits here. You can see the yellow run slightly onto the top surfaces, but you've got to remember how small this is, and the footage you're seeing blows it up massively. But the interior detail is gorgeous. It really is. It's very basic, but so was the real aircraft. The shape is beautifully reproduced, in my opinion, as someone who was building this whilst referring to a book showing loads of photos of the real Moth Minor. And at £12, I don't think it's likely to break the bank. Admittedly, it is a very simple kit. There are very few parts, but when you're paying about the price for a Series 2 Airfix kit for something which is much more obscure, suddenly it doesn't seem that bad, in my opinion. Quick note about Special Hobby as well. This year I have made 3 Special Hobby kits. This is the third. The first was the Fairy Battle, and it was from Azure was the brand, but it's a Special Hobby tooling. That was absolutely fantastic as well. The tolerances were a little bit tight. A few parts really needed convincing to go where they should, but otherwise it was fantastic. The de Havilland Mosquito was the second one, and that was every bit as good as the Fairy Battle, but if anything a tiny bit easier to build. And then this. So these 3 new Special Hobby tools, they are easily competing with the big boys with stuff like this. With this sort of quality, Special Hobby are my brand to watch, in my opinion. And if they were just churning out Spitfires, Hurricanes, whatever, all the bog standard stuff, then yeah, maybe I wouldn't even bother buying them. But they're not shying away from doing those obscure aircraft like the Fairy Battle, like this Moth Minor, which hasn't been done in injection molded plastic before. So this has definitely been worth it. It did only take me a couple of days to build, but that is partly because I did nothing but build this for a couple of days. Nothing else was on my bench. I just focused on this, partly because I'm trying to be better at focusing on one kit at a time, and partly because I didn't want to think about any other kit. I just wanted to see this finished. It really was very much a Mojo recovery plane. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to leave it there because otherwise I will just keep gushing about this kit for the foreseeable future. If there's anything you think I didn't cover, then just drop it in the comments below. I will do my best to answer, and let me know what you think. Does this look nice? Are you tempted to get one for yourself? And is there anything else from Special Hobby that you think I should keep my eyes open for? I do intend to get a P40. I've been saying it now for well over a year, but I will get their P40 because I like P40s and I've heard good things. But there's still a lot of kits in my stash that I need to clear through, and nothing's quite as exciting as a brand new Moth. I would like to extend a thank you to my channel members. These people contribute a small amount each month, which just motivates me to go out and buy things like this as soon as they arrive, rather than wait until payday and just rock backwards and forwards in the corner until I feel that I can afford a new kit. If you are interested in joining them, and you are of course financially able to, then there is a link in the video description, or just go to my channel page and you can enjoy pictures of things like this as soon as I finish them, because that's exactly what I did. I said, by the way guys, I've bought a plane, by the way, I have already finished it. If not, just watching the video is good enough for me, so thank you very much for making it this far, and I will hopefully see you again in a future video which may or may not be moth related. Until then, goodbye.